Hello everyone, it's Wednesday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I am Murayo Afolabi Brown. As always, I have the ladies with me. Hello, Mariam.
Excellent.
How are you doing?
Fine,
good to see you today.
Good to see you. You look very beautiful today.
Thank you.
I love your shirt.
Colorful.
And I love that you did this.
Yeah. I was thinking it was a bit confusion, but
No.
then I guess
It's
the
so
ask
nice.
Mariam if it makes sense.
Oh, right. It makes so much sense. It's so beautiful.
Thank you.
So I lost a family member yesterday, and or I heard about it yesterday, and for me, my relationship with this person wasn't so
Cordial?
No, not cordial, but we didn't have much of a relationship. So this is my family member, but we haven't had a lot, much of a relationship. But hearing about his passing really touched me, hurt me, For, the questions of what should have been, what could have been, things like that. And I'm a very private person. I would never normally just talk about it, but I know this person has wife and children. And this is just my way of saying that that may his soul rest in peace. And I join them as well in mourning his loss.
Yeah. I know, it's really difficult. This year, you think that as we're wrapping up, no more bad news. Because, I got a few news of some people that have passed on last week. I'm like, this year doesn't want to go without taking some.
I don't know. We thought we're done.
Yeah, I thought we're done. So we just continue to pray for our safety, the health of our loved ones, and continue to keep safe. How are you doing, BC?
I'm doing amazing. I just feel, I'm touched, but this just shows us that the life that we have, we should value it. We should value relationships. We should learn to forgive, because the truth is, today you're here, tomorrow you're no more. You don't know who is going to come to, but just live like you can live and make the best of it. Don't wait till, because a lot of people regret after someone passed. Oh, maybe I should have spoken to her more. I should have checked up on her. I should have done this and all that. Let's do it now that we have life. And Daniel sent me a request.
Daniel,
our own very Daniel,
Daniel.
yes. So the younger sister's wedding anniversary is today, 14th year wedding anniversary, and their names are Uzodima Okbechi and Sister Nene Okbechi. This is wishing you a happy married life from your brother Daniel.
Nice.
Yes.
And I got a message from, her name is Grace Solomon. She and her husband are fans, and it says that today 15th, right?
Yeah.
Is his birthday, I think. Oh, that was yesterday.
Yeah.
Okay.
16th.
Today is 16th. Today is 16th. I saw the message. So I'm glad his name is Solomon Anyoso Onwuka. They actually live in Senegal, in Togo.
Okay.
In Togo.
Oh,
and they're calling us from then. Happy birthday, happy belated birthday to
Happy
Mr. Solomon.
birthday.
Mr. Onwuka. God bless you. Well, it's a Christmas season, lots are happening. We did a music video, which we're going to be premiering on the show today. That's exciting news. It was actually my husband, Brown Kabiti, did the video, but he now invited the ladies to feature in it. So we'll be premiering that today. But it was important to just have that family time with friends and loved ones, because this year has been so remarkable that we continue to remember everything that has happened. Many people will not forget this year for a long time. And it was important that we wanted to end it with something, with a bang. That in the midst of it all, there was some joy and laughter. And that's one of the reasons why we did this video.
Some love.
But first, we'll go through the front pages of the papers. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Thanks for staying. We're going to start with The Nation. 17 people's return from forests as ACF knocks federal government. World Bank's IMF loan to Nigeria in 2020 hit $11.46 billion. Chief Justice treating COVID-19 in UAE. Ex-senators, ex-reps press Tinubu to run for president. LCCI blames inflation rise on forex. And I gave Sanusi the Jonathan medicine, says Ganduje. Lots of stories.
Okay, let's start
with the major headlines.
So, Ariwa Consultative Forum had their Board of Trustees meeting, and really was to discuss the state of insecurity in our country, and they have expressed their displeasure at what they call like the lack of the government taking proactive measures to handle this insecurity situation that we're dealing with. They say that they had a meeting in October to talk about insecurity. Here they are again in December. And, you know, the government just needs to do better concerning insecurity. The governor of Katsina State also, on the other hand, during an interview, has said that about 17 of the pupils were rescued. So some of them had run into the forest, 17 of them are back. Based on an account of one of the pupils, he said it seemed like 2 may have been killed by the abductors, but that's just based on what that person's account is. Then the NCF is also asking, you know, that the government needs to do better about protecting lives and property, and that is, you know, that's one of their major rules in the Constitution, especially as this also affects the education of children, you know. So, and
in a related story, Shekau has done a video, saying that, claiming responsibility that his brothers did this, and they did it in the name of Allah, and they wanted, obviously...
The effrontery for me is just amazing. But the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Muhammad Tanko, is the latest prominent Nigerian to have been affected by COVID-19. So he was absent at the swearing-in of 72 new senior advocates of Nigeria. And his representative, Justice Ibrahim Salawa, explained that he's actually in the UAE getting treatment from COVID-19. And he is saying that, you know, sometimes we have felt over the last few months that COVID-19 had reduced, but this is becoming very obvious that it's still very much around the corner. People should take precautions. Everybody's getting, even those countries whose presidents felt there was nothing like COVID-19 are all down with the COVID-19.
Let me just give an update on that. The Director of Press and Information of Supreme Court, Dr. Festus Akande, has said, well, that he hasn't seen any medical reports to show that the CJN has COVID-19. And so this is not proper journalism. People should go and find out first.
Why
so he was asked, why, then where is the CJN? He says he has given them all the information that he needs.
Okay. Moving on to Daily Sun. Why we abducted students of Kankara by Shekau. We talked about that earlier. Anger in Senate over Buhari's refusal to sack service chiefs. FG orders telcos to block SIM cards without NIN by December 30th. Fear over CGN's COVID-19 status. Southwest APC leaders call on Tinubu to join the South 2023 presidential race. And FG secures $1.5 billion World Bank loan to boost economy. Okay, so the senators are obviously angry.
They are very, very upset. With one of the reasons is the fact that we have so much insecurity issues in the country. We've had cases of kidnapping and all that, and the fact that the president is refusing to sack the service chiefs. So they are saying that they, the Senate, they have the power to go into the Constitution. One of them, I wanted to get his name.
Impeach.
Yes. No. They said they want to activate Section 143 of the 1999 Constitution, which has to deal with impeachment. But they are saying that the reason is not for impeachment. They just want to use stringent measures so that the president will get the signal that they are very serious about it. Another thing they want to do is to suspend the 2021 budget, saying that if the president does not listen, they can't have that going when we need to, you know, put hands on deck and make sure that people's lives and properties are secured. And they were telling the Senate presidents that if you don't want to do this, step down, no, we can handle it. We have the powers, we have the Constitution backing us. And the president needs to see that we are not just rubber stamp right now.
Tough.
So that's tough talking.
Yeah, we see. It's about time to start talking
so.
Telcos are going to block the SIM cards that don't have the national identification numbers. So I think they will expect Nigerians to go to your telco company to register and let them give them your NIN number so that they don't disconnect your SIM by December 30th. That's pretty much the story.
Yes, and you know, Nigerians are already talking like, what is this in such a short time? Secondly, we did the SIM registration. If you remember, it was months and months of people going. And so the question is, if you have the data already, how
Why
are you
don't
not
just link it?
Just
I guess
use it.
the heightened insecurity
No,
is
I
what's informing
understand
that.
the reason why.
But the methods, it's just hectic.
And the timing is pretty short too. I mean, they're giving only about 2
well,
or so
maybe
weeks.
it's an emergency, but the method, you have taken you have taken over time, you've taken people's information. Find a way to use it.
Link it from BVN
What if
everywhere.
they don't
Just
have that
link.
information?
What- so what do they take it for?
That's a different conversation. So let us move on. This is not Nigeria.
Wow.
Are you sure there's no other story you want to take here? Let's move on. Federal Vanguard, pay ransom, free our children from bandits. Parents beg federal government. Sanusi not fit to be emir, says Ganduje. Nigeria must restructure by 2023, says Makinde. 774,000 special jobs. Reps ask FFG to suspend program. COVID-19 vaccines must undergo local clinical trials, says NMA. 8 dead as Port Harcourt residents rush for Christmas palliatives. And I was judged harshly before 2015 election, says Jonathan.
Okay, so let me say the governor of Kano State at a book presentation on Jonathan he said that the former emir of Kano State, of Kano, Lamido Sanusi, he said that he was not fit to be the emir, and the reason why he fired him was because he was trying to maintain that traditional culture and seat, and that at the time that Lamido Sanusi was made emir was actually to spite Jonathan because he had come out publicly to claim that money was stolen, and that he should have met the former president at the time and had that conversation privately and not talk about it so openly. And so the medicine that Jonathan gave to Sanusi is what he's also saying. I'm not a doctor, but this medicine, I know how to give it.
The medicine that Sanusi gave to Jonathan
is what he's giving to Sanusi. So he was really excited about that.
Okay, the major
headline is related to what we're talking about.
A grieving parent, Aminu Dayabu, whose son was amongst the 333 students kidnapped in Katsina, has said that he's appealing to the government to, if you need to pay ransom, just pay. Whatever you need to do, we just want our children back. And he was actually speaking the minds of a lot of parents. At the same time, the Nigerian Union of Teachers are saying that this insecurity, this kidnapping, there are pockets of incidents that have been happening, aside from the one that happened on the 11th, that's the Katsina. They had one on the 8th in, I think, in Warri, where 2 teachers were kidnapped. They had one on the 1st of December in Edo State, where a teacher was kidnapped, though that particular teacher was released. They are saying that this is getting too much. And if the federal government does not do anything about this, they are going to down tools, they are going to stop, because all of this kidnapping is actually affecting the 2019 and 2020 school curriculum. So schools are being shut right now. There's a report where about 10 or 11 schools were shut down. So they're saying that if nothing is done, everybody will just better stay at home.
I wanted to take the 774,000. This is our job that we've been talking about for how many months?
They
suspended it. And the reason is because they've asked the Minister of State to suspend it, and they've asked also the Minister of Finance not to release funds. And the primary reason is that they said the selection committee at the state level have refused to use the list that was compiled by the National Directorate Employment, NDE. So they're saying that until you use that list that was agreed by NDE, you kind of they've told them to suspend it while they resolve that internal issues. Imagine, list is the problem.
Yeah, the problem.
They have changed the list now. They had a list of people.
Remember, there was a list that they showed us that had everybody from different states, and they tried to.
So now they've changed it. I'm sure people are lobbying for.
It's like maybe they had snuck in another list that was not meant to be there
at the state level. Let's move on now to Tribune, the Nigerian Tribune. Attacks on schools. NUT threatens to down tools. I think you took that story. UI shut school clinic as it records positive COVID-19 cases. 8 feared dead in Port Harcourt stampede over Christmas palliative. SIM cards without NIN to be blocked by January. And IGP orders deployment of SWAT operatives nationwide. Uncertainty over CJN's health status. Let's talk about the palliatives. We'll not discuss that.
So a non-governmental organization who normally they give out, charity to people, which called for a sharing of palliatives to their members, people who had registered with them. And that happened, I think, was it yesterday? Yes, that happened yesterday morning. And so they gathered, but then I think they were not able to control the crowd. Before you understood what was happening. There was stampede. According to the eyewitnesses, they said about 8 of them died, but the police in Rivers State is saying now that only 2 persons died, and they are actually investigating to find out what really happened.
But this is a different kind of palliatives, because this is actually an NGO. They ask them to register with 10,000 naira.
Yes.
And then after that, they give you a card which you can use to come and
get
something of the value of what you paid. But I mean, that's probably why the crowd, because you've invested 10,000 naira anyway, so you
need to get
something. So maybe that's why there was that rush.
Yeah,
but the rush then caused the stampede. They should have organized
these people had paid for this.
Yes, they have.
Many of them paid to have been registered.
To register.
I think the NGO also should have taken proper measures to ensure, to control the crowd.
But there's this thing about Nigerians that we do not like to take turns or wait in line. Whatever happens, you see people just rushing. You just want to get in there and they pay attention to you first.
But because you know that, then you should put the measures in place.
Yeah,
to
get the police or something. Yeah,
because this is not the first time you see people trying to give money and then you just throw it into a crowd.
It's all our responsibility. Even the people collecting too should be mindful.
The souls of those who have died from this stampede, rest in peace. Really, really sad. We say this fairly often on this show.
Every day.
Yeah. Okay, let's go on a break. When we come back, we're going to unveil our Christmas music videos. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Thanks for staying with us. So, this morning we're going to be sharing our video. The last few weeks we had a music video with the ladies of Your View, and Brown Kabiti actually invited us, and it's the music Oh Holy Nights. We're going to be watching it. Before we play it, what do you want to say about your experience very quickly? Or do you want to say it after the video?
I think we should banter after. Let's watch.
Okay, so we're going to be playing for you now the Christmas video by Brown Kabiti featuring the ladies of Your View. Watch this.
A Christmas to remember.
Yeah, that looked good, right?
It's really beautiful.
Thanks.
So, I'm just realizing that with this Christmas in the air every now and then, at least once in a year, people are beginning to forget the essence of the celebration, the reason for the season. Everybody just focuses on the good clothes, the good hair, the good shoes, the food, and then we forget that this is because we are celebrating the birth of our Lord Jesus Christ, and we should do it with family and love. And this is what this video just showed us. So we're remembering that Christ is the Lord, and we're with family, we are reconnecting, we are bonding, we are sharing. It's just so beautiful.
There's this saying they say about the Christmas tree for me, and there's this particular quote I hold so dear for Christmas, which is, it's not what's under the Christmas tree that is important, but who's around it. And for me, this video, this song just encapsulates that quote. And really, Mr. Brown, thank you for making for us a video that is Nigerian, with Nigerians, because we see these videos. Many of us grew up watching Christmas videos. We see all those Oyinbo people and their Oyinbo children.
Came from them.
Now we have our Nigerian Christmas, our Nigerian families, so thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much. I mean, Brown, he put so much work into this. And initially, in fairness, I didn't understand why we were doing this in the beginning. But eventually, as I started seeing the connections with the ladies and the families, their husbands came around, it just then made sense that, listen, this whole year we've been through so much together, and it only made sense for us to have this kind of ending. And we just hope we got to share our love and experience with everybody, our viewers, our family, those who love the show, who love us. We thank you, and we just want to wish you everybody a Merry Christmas, and it's really, really the first new year for all of us. We're going to break now. We'll come back. We'll go back into the matters and realities. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Thank you. Thanks for staying with us. So this recent information that we got from the NCC concerning our NIN numbers that has to be connected to our SIM cards. And if we don't do that by December 30th, we'll be disconnected. So we have with us this morning Honorable Akeem Adeyemi. He's the Chairman House Committee on Communications, and he has the oversight functions over the NCC. So he'll be sharing with us this morning on his thoughts. Good morning, sir. Are you there? Ooh. we just lost that connection. Okay, so we'll try to bring him on quickly. But we were talking earlier, I think you were saying something during the break, that they already took our data when we had the SIM, when we had to register the SIM. So doing SIM registration is almost the same thing asked when we're having the NIN registration. So why can't they sync it? I mean, that was my first question to him.
Yeah, I just feel that we need to do more in terms of database. It seems to me like we're going backwards every time we call for things like this. Because instead of us to be finding ways to ensure that we make all of these activities seamless, the world is going digital right now. Everybody is using technology. Even a little child can know the functions of technology and can use it for their everyday life to make things easy. But when it comes to government and government policies and decisions, we go back to analog age. When are we going to leave this? It's very... Right now, I can't even remember where my own NIN is. I don't know where I kept that slip. I can't remember.
Yeah.
So all my lines now, and this is even the wrongest time, because we're doing businesses. The CBN has done their own. We're suffering it now as business people. Now we may be losing our lines in the next 2 weeks if we don't find an NIN number. I think we should calm down.
Okay, so I'm told our Honorable is back.
Calming down.
Honorable Akeem Adeyemi, are you there?
Good morning.
Good morning. Good to have you on the show. So we woke up to the news that the NCC might be cutting off our lines if we do not provide our NIN registration numbers. Are you aware of this update from the NCC, and why is it necessary at this time, especially because the data they're asking for is already provided by the SIM registration? So why do we need to sync this?
Yeah, thank you very much. It's the policy of the federal government, the Ministry of Communications and the Economy. It is necessary not only to have a robust community.
We're having trouble hearing you, it's a bit muffled. Can you move somewhere else, please? Hello? It's still muffled.
Hello?
Yes, we're having trouble hearing you clearly.
No.
Oh,
God.
Not really.
Hello?
We know you're talking to us, but it's not very clear. But maybe you just move around a bit. So our connections are not even clear, and this is Nigeria. There's so much we're going through in this country. But yeah, your initial thoughts when you
just as said, that would be my question too, and it just also goes to show that every time we've talked about, because we're saying this is because of the insecurity in our country, and this is a way to fight terrorism. So it makes me wonder that so all this time. You did not have the sort of intelligence that you needed to have to follow people on their phones or their number to trace them. We're doing it now.
No, I think give us some credit. Yeah.
Okay, I'm listening. I would like to hear.
Explain yourself.
I don't know. I think because I know somebody who was kidnapped.
Yes.
And it's the same phone lines they're using to contact.
So if we already have enough information to do that, why are we doing it in 2 weeks? And if you don't do it in 2 weeks, you lose your line. So what exactly are you telling us?
We really need to get the country back, because we actually tried to get somebody from the NCC, but because it was a short notice, they couldn't attend to us. So we're hoping that the Honorable we can reconnect with him. So security, we all agree there's heightened insecurity in our country, and the government will take all measures to try to see what they can do to know every person, to be able to trace. You know how you go abroad now, you have a social security number that they can trace your entire, even your shoe size.
I thought we're supposed to have that with the NIN and the BVN. I thought we're supposed to have that.
So they want your phone, because your phone is like that. Is almost the easiest way to link with you these days. So it's important to link your NIN with your phone number.
As usual, we'll just have the conversation. We'll hear government try to explain itself around why you cannot have a database that they can just have access to. We'll hear it, and then you and I would say to them why they should do it differently, and then we hope something comes out of it. Then we see after the 2 weeks exactly what would happen then, if they will really stop people from using their phones, because many people will be involved. Apart from that, I do know that there are some people that are still struggling to get those NIN numbers.
Yes.
You would go there, there are many stories of you have to pay some people, that there are long queues, or you get there, the process is divided into different segments. You go in today, you're supposed to come back to get the NIN number, then you're supposed to come back to get,
I think our Honorable is back. Sir, are you back? Are you there?
Hello, can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, clearer now. Thank you. So help us understand why NCC came up with this new policy, and why so urgent at this time? Oh, yikes. Oh. Okay, so network.
It's painful.
This is Nigeria. Maybe we should go on a break. Yeah. And we come back, we'll try to hook up with the Honorable. Stay with us, we'll be right back. Thanks for staying with us. So we have connection issues most of this morning, but we're just going to, I think our guest is still there. Honorable Akeem Adeyemi, are you still there?
Honorable Akeem Adeyemi, I'm here.
Okay, please go ahead. Tell us exactly what this new policy is about and why we're having it at this time.
Yeah, thank you very much. An agency of the federal government of Nigeria, called NIMC, is under the Ministry of Communication and Digital Economy. NIMC is started with the responsibility of giving each and every Nigerian a digital identification. The Ministry of Communication and Digital Economy, through the Nigerian Communications Commission, has issued directive to service providers to ensure that each subscriber has and his or her name number is linked with his SIM card. The simple explanation of this is simple. It's this. Are you with me?
Yes.
There's a unique digital identification number for each Nigerian. And now, if I, Akeem Adeyemi, is having a Glo line, an MTN line, an Airtel line, all this, my SIM card will be linked with my unique digital identification number that is named. Hello, are you there?
Yes.
Yeah.
This would definitely improve the security of Nigeria. Nigerians are yearning for the security improvement. Nigerians are yearning how to curb criminality. We are wondering how come kidnappers and other criminal elements in Nigeria are having access to multiple numbers, transacting criminal business via telecommunications. How can we curb this? So if anybody uses any number after this registration, after this linking with names, they will know, they can trace with your identification number who is the number to call. Definitely, I can understand Nigerians are clamoring for the time limit for this registration. I want to assure you, as the people's representatives, we will ensure that after the 2 weeks expiration directive given by the Communication and Digital Economy Ministry, there will be a kind of extension to the time lag. It's a good policy. We are still scrutinizing it, and I can assure you that if this is put in place, security network in Nigeria will not only be improved, it will be bring to barest minimum kidnapping and also other vices that you can mention.
All right. Thank you, Honorable. We're happy that our government is looking for ways to better secure us. But let's talk about the logistics, please. We're talking the logistics. We're talking 2 weeks, so we're looking at queues. People going to...
Also, the ministry has directed all service providers to be an agent of NIMC. So you can even get your NIN number at the service provider you are using. You can approach the MTN, Airtel, Glo, and also 9 Mobile. They have been linked as to serve as agents of NIMC. So you don't need to be at the NIMC offices across Nigeria to get your name. You can also get your name, that is the unique digital identification number, at all the service providers.
So it's
also COVID-19 pandemic regulation and guidelines will be followed.
Okay.
All these put in place, definitely we will still call for an extension of the time lag. Okay. I can assure you.
But it involves being physically there, right? Does it involve...
There's need to set a time lag so that we can all be focused to achieve this, not only for ourselves, but to Nigerians at large.
Okay, I'm happy that we can, approach our service providers for the names. Why isn't it technologically based? Why do we have to approach them? Can't we use like a USS code or something and get it sent to us?
You see, all these things we are talking about cannot be free. We just need to understand that some Nigerians are not that ICT sophisticated. We need to understand that some of our villagers, our market women, our farmers are also using telephone. We can't make it so sophisticated and they will be disenfranchised.
Okay, that is fair, but is there a category for those who can do it and then a category for those who cannot? So that, you know...
To the best of my knowledge, if you are holding a SIM card, you must be linked with your name. It's not exclusion of any category for now.
Okay.
All right, so...
Nigerians can come up with their suggestion. We are running democracy.
Okay.
We are for them. We will engage them on a daily basis. As I'm talking to you today, we will consider the budget proposal of NCC for year 2021 on the floor of the House of Representatives today. So we are seeing any legislative backing to ensure that Nigerians not to the economy of Nigeria. As a legislator, we want to assure you, and we also want to let Nigerians know that any policy like this is not to cause action for them, it's for the betterment of the entire nation.
Honorable, do you have any data of terrorists or kidnappers that have been accosted based on tracing?
I am not a security agency. I cannot have access to data of criminals and kidnappers.
Okay.
I can't have access to that data.
Okay.
May I suggest, sir, that in the future, because, you know, when I hear you saying that we need to pay attention to people who are not technologically savvy, I just feel that you are sort of taking Nigerians back, because I know that even our grandmothers and great-grandmothers, they have their children who can help them type in. They use all of those codes to transfer money from one account to the other. They have people around who can help them. So that if we start thinking digital, everybody will catch up at the end of the day. So for the future, sir, I would appreciate if you make plans for us to go digital. You forget about those other ones. They have family members who would help them sort it out so that we are moving forward as a country.
That is the reason we are joining other developed nations to have a unique national identity that will be linked to your SIM card, and I can assure you in the near future, this will also be linked to your driver's license and it will be linked to other identification. I can assure you that. We're getting there. We will get there.
Yeah, but it's important that you understand what BC just said. The idea that we have to go physically. Hello? Can you hear me, sir?
Analog.
I can hear you clearly.
Yeah, the idea that Nigerians have to go there physically is what BC is talking about. So she understands that right now we have to go to our service providers or go to the NIN office. But there is a way actually, because those people who are actually very poor do transfer money. They are able to transact, go to a POS. So there are other forms. So she's just having you to pay attention
to the methods.
That we can actually make this more modern so that people don't have to go physically there, because that causes a lot of disruptions. We had a stampede recently. Yeah. These are things that we must really foresee, don't you think?
Your points are noted. Okay. We will still engage the officials of the National Nigerian Communications Commission today. Right. I can assure you we'll have a robust discussion. Anything that will make this thing an itch-free and also less hardship to Nigerians will be put forward. I can assure you that.
Thank you.
Okay, just very quickly, I'm just also concerned about how safe it is to get your NIN from your service provider. Some of this information are supposed to be quite private to you, so other people do not have access to it. Could you shed more light on that?
You see, thank you very much. You see, even if somebody has access to your unique digital identification, it does not matter to some extent, because your facial and also your physical print and etc. will be included. Okay. So I can assure you that a lot of things we put in place. We are engaging the ministry. All these questions have been asked them, and you've provided some satisfactory explanation and answers to this.
Thank you very much. We
just need. Okay, let me ask you one question. How do you feel? Hello.
We can hear you, sir.
How do you feel if a Nigerian is kidnapped? And imagine kidnapper having access to SIM card, calling for ransom, and it's practically to track and trace the caller. You see, if you are talking about security has gone digital, and we need to go digital along to track, to reduce the crime rate in this country.
We agree.
So that's our song here. We sing it all the time.
Just the method.
Thank you very much.
We are your voices. I can assure you, we are Nigerians. I might be chairman of House Committee of Communication today. Tomorrow, I am ordinary Nigerians. So I cannot, for any personal interest, I mean, disappoint Nigerians because
I think
after
you
the
should
expiration of my
actually
tenure, I want to
think
be a
of-
Nigerian.
I think you should be a spokesperson for the federal government because you seem to you have a way with words and how to encourage. Because with those who are speaking on behalf of the federal government, we don't hear them like
We
this.
don't
But
hear them,
thank you
yeah.
very much,
Thank you,
Honorable.
sir. Thank you.
Let's go on a break. When we
You're
come
welcome.
back, we discuss COVID. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Stay with us. So COVID. Sounds like a brother. COVID. Hi, COVID.
Oh my God,
COVID-19 is
it's
still
long enough to be
COVID-19. I mean, it just sounds like just COVID. COVID is still here. So the figures are beginning to climb in the past 2 weeks. In fact, last Friday, the country recorded its highest daily tally of 796 since the outbreak in Nigeria. So the question is, how prepared are we? Joining us on the show is the National Coordinator for the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, Dr. Sani Aliyu. So good to have you, Dr. Aliyu. Are you still there? Are you there?
Yes, I'm still there. Good morning.
Yes,
Good morning,
good to
sir.
have you on the show. We're a bit frightened by the new numbers of COVID in Nigeria and the fact that there's a possibility that you might be making us go into another lockdown. I mean, if the numbers continue to grow. Could you give us an update exactly what data do you have for us and what plans are you putting in place to not get us to a lockdown?
So I'm afraid it's not looking good at the moment. The numbers are clearly going up. There's no doubt we're having an upward trend, a second surge of the epidemic. And we strongly believe that this is driven by community transmission. Over the last few weeks, what has changed compared to late October and early November is the frequency of parties and weddings and mass gatherings where people have completely thrown caution to the wind. No face masks, no physical distancing. It's almost like people are asking COVID and daring COVID to come and get them. And we know what we're seeing in both Lagos and Abuja. Our treatment centers are fast filling up. People need to realize that they are playing Russian roulette with their lives. And this has got to stop. So when you ask me, how can we avoid lockdown? Well, it's in the hands of the communities and the people. If we continue with this sort of behavior, no responsible government will sit down and allow a pandemic to take hold in the country and people die. And we know what we're seeing in our treatment centers. And when we run out of ICU beds, no matter who you are, if you require ICU and ventilation, and there are people on ventilation, we're not going to switch off anybody's ventilator in order to get you off. So we've really got to be responsible. Those key non-pharmaceutical interventions, wearing face masks all the time, especially in public, ensuring that you avoid crowds, ensuring that you avoid contamination of your hands, washing your hands frequently, and more importantly, if you have symptoms of a cold, don't go into the public. These are simple measures that will stop this from progressing. But unless we do that, and government we have been meeting, we've met with the FCT, and we're going to have another Zoom call later on this evening with Lagos State, and tomorrow we'll have a PTS meeting.
Right.
But definitely, if people want us to go back to where we were in March, April, then the current behavior is really pushing towards that.
Okay, all right.
Okay, Dr. Ali.
It's most unfortunate.
Yeah, Dr. Ali, you're right. It's quite unfortunate. But I would just like to find out what the plans are. I mean, given human behavior where we don't listen, we don't follow the guidelines. So we're hoping that government is better prepared this time. The centers going back up, those who will be involved, the doctors and nurses, do they have PPEs now? You know, are they better equipped to handle a second surge?
So we're doing all that we can to prevent a second surge. But the way public health works, you try not to overwhelm your health system. So no matter how prepared you are, if you allow things to progress and you have too many people getting sick all at once, it will overwhelm the system. In terms of preparation, to be honest, we're actually better off now than we were in March, April. We have a lot more diagnostic capacity in terms of the molecular labs. Virtually every state government has a molecular lab now. Virtually every state has some form of a treatment center. We've trained more than 45,000 healthcare workers on infection prevention and control. We also continue to distribute personal protective equipment across the state. We've also given each state a minimum of ₦1 billion to deal with the COVID pandemic, which includes risk communications, so radio jingles, TV adverts, engagement with the community leaders. And we've met with the community leaders and our traditional rulers and religious leaders. But what's happening is that people are getting fatigued with COVID. We're all very tired. We've been doing this for the last 9 months. Some of us have not even seen our families for almost a year. So it's difficult, but what we need to understand is COVID is not tired. We might be getting fatigued and tired, but as far as COVID is concerned, it's great. COVID could have a really great Christmas if we continue to behave in this way.
Right.
And we cannot allow COVID to celebrate Christmas with us. It's all about changing human behavior and realizing our risks. Those of us that are between 50 to 60, if we catch COVID, based on our data, almost 1 in 4 persons between the ages of 50 to 60 died. So, and I, for instance, have a 1 in 4 chance of dying if I catch COVID in Nigeria, based on our Nigeria data.
Right.
And that's not something you want. It's the equivalent of playing Russian roulette. We've got to protect ourselves. So if you are elderly, if you have diabetes, if you have cardiovascular disease, keep away from the crowd. And whatever your age, even if you are young, do not follow the crowd, because you could infect yourself and carry this to your loved ones and decimate them in the process.
All right, go ahead.
2 questions quickly, Dr. Aliyu. I hear that some countries, they've announced that they are ready with the vaccines. How are we positioned as a country to get the vaccines when they start distributing to other countries? That's one. Secondly, what is our testing capacity at the moment? Can you give us an update on that?
So I'll start with the second one. So our testing capacity, at the moment, we're testing about 4,000 samples a day. The key issue we are now having, as I said, laboratories are now available across the country. The key issue is really getting the support of people to come out and actually test. We know that a lot of people are not coming forward even when they have symptoms. One of the commonest symptoms that we've observed, especially in young people, is the loss of smell. So if you've just had a cold or you have a mild cold and suddenly you lose your sense of smell, it's most likely COVID. Certainly the ones I've come across, they've all turned out to be positive, especially if you're a relatively young person. And then other symptoms, fever is particularly common, cough, shortness of breath, etc. So when it comes to diagnostic capacity, what we know from our data is that for every positive we have, it's very likely we're missing up to 10 cases because people are failing to come forward to test. We have, in Abuja, for instance, access to testing is very easy. If you go to the National Reference Lab in Gadua, you just drive in. You don't need to call anybody. You just drive in. You will not even come out of your car. They will take your details. They will swab you, and off you go. And they will call you or send you a text message if you're negative, or call you if you're positive 24, 48 hours later. So diagnostic capacity has improved, but that demand hasn't been commensurate with the expansion of diagnostic laboratories across the country. Another thing that I would say about vaccine is even if today we start a vaccine program, the rate of rise of COVID-19 will not change over the following 1, 2, 3 months unless we change our behavior. Right. Vaccine alone is not enough to interrupt transmission at the population level rapidly, because you need to build your immunity. Most of the vaccines have to be given as 2 courses, 3 to 4 weeks apart. So, and we require that in order to have a decent antibody response. And then, well, they are 95% effective, which is pretty good. But there are other challenges, such as the need to maintain an ultra cold chain, and also the competition, because a lot of the developed countries are busy buying off the vaccine. But government is doing a lot of work through Primary Healthcare Development Agency. They are the key lead with the Federal Ministry of Health. Funds are being identified for the purpose of procuring the vaccine through the GOTV initiative, where we'll have 20%, about 20% of the population will be catered for. But even then, we will only give the vaccine to 3 groups, certainly in phase 1. Right. Healthcare workers, the elderly, and those with comorbidities. So not everybody will get the vaccine, I'm afraid.
Right.
That's right.
Dr. Aliyu, I have to ask you this question. I know you might not like it, but we can't shy away from the reality that Africa was what we could say is the least affected continents across the world with COVID. I mean, people have been amazed at the results from, especially Nigeria, the numbers compared to other countries. So remember in the early days, we're talking about maybe there's something in Africa, there's something in our air, in our weather, or something that just did not allow COVID to get to the height it did across the world. Now, it's 9 months past. Do you think, has there been any research done to give us to validate these assumptions, or is it still just a speculation, or because people don't see people dying like they do abroad? Maybe that's why they're just going around their normal lives.
You're quite right. People don't. COVID does not have that shock factor of people bleeding to death, like with Ebola or Lassa, for instance, or people dropping dead, or with flu-like effects across the population. But one of the main reasons why is because we have a relatively young population. The median age in Nigeria is 18 years. In Nigeria, if you're above the age of 65, you're only about 3% of the population, compared to 18% for the UK and 21% of the Italian population being above the age of 65. So the most likely reason why we are not seeing the impact of COVID is because it's primarily affecting people in their 30s in Nigeria. And these are young people that may not even exhibit any symptoms at all. But if it catches an elderly person, as I said earlier on, if it catches you and you're between 50 to 60, almost 1 in 4, 23% mortality. If you're above 60, 27, 28% mortality based on our data. And I remember very clearly around April, some of us were commenting on how mild the infection was for India. And look at where India is at the moment. It has the second or third highest mortality rate in the world. If you talk about weather, our weather is very similar to that of Brazil. We're practically on the same latitude. Yeah. And look at what's happening in Brazil. One of the reasons why I strongly feel that Africa was saved the brunt of the COVID pandemic was partly because of the nature of our demography, relatively young population, but also the fact that African countries went in very quickly. Remember, March, April, when we locked down, we had only a handful of 100 cases of COVID. We locked down very early on and stopped the transmission. And then secondly, people are more likely to be outdoors in Africa than indoors. And we know transmission is not very efficient if you are outdoors, not because of the weather, but because of the wind, etc. And thirdly, our leaders, our political leaders, have shown true leadership in that there are no mixed messages coming from our leaders. If you look at countries where the leaders have shown mixed messages, like the United States, like Brazil, for instance, like a few other countries in Southeast Asia, they've had awful epidemics. But what I'm trying to say is this virus is no different to the virus in Europe. It's no different to the virus in North America when it comes to its pathogenicity, i.e. its likelihood of causing disease and its likelihood of killing people. It's just that it prefers older people or those with other comorbidities. And if you have that and it catches you, it doesn't matter whether you are black or you are white or you are pink. It can still cause severe illness in you and death. And secondly, we need to be aware that our health system is weak compared to the health system of other countries. Yeah. If I catch COVID and I'm in the UK, for instance, if I need intensive care, straight away, I'm very likely to access intensive care. If I need oxygen, within minutes of arriving hospital, I'll have oxygen. But that isn't the case for a lot of our hospitals in Nigeria, particularly those in the rural areas. We could suffocate to death because all we need is oxygen.
Let me get a few more questions.
With our lives in the first instance. Why? I really can't understand this attitude. We've really got to change our behavior and realize that this is for real. Let's try and survive this Christmas period. Let's try and survive the early part of 2021.
Let me get a few more questions in for you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Ali. I agree with everything you have said to why we do not have the numbers we have here, except, of course, the mixed messages from our leaders. I do agree with you on that. But I just want to find this conversation about the vaccine, which seems to be, a lot of people think it's almost like a cure. And I don't think we're talking enough about vaccine being more preventive than being, a cure. Could you just educate us better on what the vaccine would do?
So what the vaccine does is it's just like what other vaccines that we have for measles, mumps, and the childhood vaccines do. Essentially, they trick the body. They pretend to be the true organism, and the body produces antibodies as a result. And at the same time, the body also produces a number of immune cells called memory cells that then go back and wait for the infection to come in. And the moment the infection comes in, because the body has already been trained, the body has been shown, okay, here we are. This is what looks like a coronavirus. It has a spike protein on its surface. So if you see this spike protein, this is what you produce. You produce soldiers that will fight it. And these soldiers are so well trained that they know the weakness of the organism. So it's almost like you mobilize troops. Essentially, what a vaccine does is you catch an armed robber and you show the armed robber or you show an enemy to a troop of soldiers. And you ask the soldiers, do you recognize this person? Yes. Do you recognize them? Yes. Okay, go back and rest. Next time, if the same person comes around, they will immediately recognize that this is an enemy and they will mobilize. And that's how a vaccine works. Right. However, different people have different levels of antibody response. If you look at the antibodies as the soldiers, some may produce a large number of soldiers, some may only be able to produce 5 or 10 soldiers. So you could easily be overwhelmed, and that's why when it comes to vaccination, you cannot have 100% efficacy. So the 2 vaccines that are currently most likely to come in very soon and are being used have about 95% efficacy. And the vaccine that's being produced by the Oxford vaccine has about 70-something% efficacy. Right. But,
unfortunately, we have to.
The vaccines that are currently being used require a lot of very cold environments in order to remain stable, and that's one of the challenges we have when it comes to logistics.
We have to wrap up on this. Unfortunately, we run out of time. But thank you very much, Dr. Aliyu. I think if there's anything we've gotten from you today, don't play Russian roulette with our lives, and don't let COVID spend Christmas with us this year.
Never.
I think that's 2 messages the Nigerians would resound in Nigerians' mind today. Thank you very much for joining us. Have a fabulous day. We'll see you all tomorrow. Bye for now.